Hey, there are some faces. How's everyone doing? We are going live with episode number 62 of Xbox Talks. I'm joined this week by Anthony and Ivan, also known as Moko and Grim on our various community channels, including the Discord. It's very active over there. We still have a lot of happenings in the Discord. You can find a link to that on the subreddit with us there, and boy, I just can't wait to get into it. So let's start with introductions real quick. Anthony, how you doing? How's it going over there in the UK?
Hi. It's going well. We're missing Mikey and Kev tonight, but we'll plow on.
We are. We were kind of joking.
Yeah,
Sorry, we were kind of joking in the pre-show here about how those guys really carry our CMA conversations, and Mikey especially is very well versed in the legalese and all the ins and outs of that situation. So we'll be a little light on that coverage tonight, but that might be good news to some of our listeners because I know that we've been on that saga for a long time. So, so what have you been playing this week, Anthony? What have you been up to in your gaming life?
I have been playing, well, a couple of things actually. Planet of Lana, I've been playing. We had the AMA with the developers in the middle of the week, and it really piqued my interest. And it's really good. It's a superb game. Short, but just a beautiful game. Very reminiscent of old school titles like Another World, Flashback, but also like Inside and what's the other one? I can't remember the title. Limbo. Yeah, Limbo. Very Prince of Persia for me. The original Prince of Persia. It's just a really good game. The sound's amazing. Visuals are brilliant. So that had me hooked. And then I'm really into F1, Formula One, and Game Pass EA Plays put F1 2023 on. So I tried that out, and I'm hooked on that as well now. I can't stop playing. I just keep doing a new course every night. I just did Monaco last night, and I'm on to the next one.
I mean, F1 is absolutely gigantic. I do notice a lot of times we go over user histories and that kind of stuff when we're doing mod actions and that kind of thing in the subreddits, and we have a huge cross section of people that enjoy F1 racing. Lots and lots of our members also enjoy that. So I notice also when we post stories about the various games, those usually track very well. We did get news this week that F1 Manager, you're going to have to double check the name on that. It had a really bad release last year apparently, and people are kind of skeptical of it this year, but they will be releasing at the Game Pass again this year, so at least if you're into that kind of thing, you might be able to check it out for free. So that was kind of interesting news. So how you doing over there, Ivan? How's it in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, right.
I didn't mean to out your location.
Yeah, well, now I have to move. So, but
just don't go to Ohio.
Good.
Just kidding, Ohioans.
No, pretty good. I mean, it's like I feel like now I'm just stuck in like alpha test mode because I went from the Street Fighter one trying to get into the Tekken or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one now, and now we also have the Mortal Kombat one coming up next. So it's like I feel like all my games have been like sort of an alpha test that I've been playing recently. But absolutely love Street Fighter 6. For anyone who was on the fence about that, they introduced different like ways to control it. They have like the classic, which you're used to, and there's like a modern system, and there's also something called dynamic. I didn't get to use that because that wasn't like an option, but the modern one, which makes it a lot easier for people to do inputs, there's actually been like a lot of discourse online where people are using that as like the pros are using it and are being really efficient. And it's almost like a cheat code in some ways, where usually you would see the easier mode be sort of like a punishable thing because it would be predictable. It just basically makes it to where your inputs are less technical. But if you know what you're doing, you can carry it pretty well.
Yeah, you've always been our kind of resident like fighting game expert. And Resident Evil, you see what happened there? So it's always good to get your takes on this. You shared with us the Mortal Kombat 1 beta application, I believe, that you can sign up for now. So I was eager to sign up for that. I believe that's over on the Warner Brothers website, and you need a Warner Brothers account to do so. But if you're into that, it might be worth going to check it out. We were kind of discussing where's it best to sign up for the beta, because you can sign up on PlayStation or Xbox, I believe. Is it just the two consoles for the testing?
Yeah.
Sure.
Right now, PC's not in it, so
yeah. So one of my things is when it's a beta like that, same thing with Diablo or any Blizzard products or any betas really, is if I usually go with the Xbox side because the player base is smaller over there. That we know that, and usually that means there's less applications. And when companies are doing these tests, they usually choose the same amount of players on both systems because they want to get as much feedback as possible that they let into the betas. So your chances are going to be a little bit better usually. Anyways, that's my theory on the Xbox side of things. And I've had pretty good luck with that. I feel like PlayStation is probably just a little more competitive. So hopefully somebody up here will get in on that and we'll get some impressions if we can share them. If there's not an NDA, which they sometimes do with that kind of stuff, and it's just we'll have to wait and see. So I guess that comes back to me now. It's kind of weird if only 3 people here. Usually you get a little break and you get to listen to everyone chime in. But unfortunately, I really haven't been playing too much new. I've still been working on the Final Fantasy series on the PlayStation side of things because I have no choice. I finished 1 and 2 completely, all the trophies. Playing 4 right now, which is like my favorite childhood game of all time. So it's really nostalgic for me. And when I hear that music, it just, it brings me right back to being 12 years old again and falling in love with video games. So it's a really fun, good time for me. A less fun time, I've been playing lots of Overwatch, just taking my knocks in there. It's a great time. I have an entertaining time, but if you get on losing streaks or you have a rough run, it gets to be a little demoralizing. And there were definitely some points where I'm just like, boy, I can't wait for Diablo. I can't wait to get out of this hell and into the hell that I can enjoy. So we'll talk about that a little bit too as we kind of get into things here. So I think that's kind of a good catch up for anyone. So this is going to be kind of a condensed show today. It's a holiday in the US and we're a little short-handed, but we are going to go through and try to hit all of the major headlines. And I'm going to start with the top post of the week because I think it's really funny that this tracked, and it's "We demand to see our legs." And what this is a playlist that Xbox enabled on the store. And it's supposedly all games that if you look down, you can see your legs. A lot of first-person shooters, you're kind of invisible. It's just kind of a floaty camera, and your character actually isn't drawn in. This is done to save on performance. There's actually a very good reason for this. If they're not rendering a player model, they can use the computer assets elsewhere in the game. To give you better textures or a little bit better draw distance, that kind of thing. But some games do actually draw the character in. This is becoming more important as a lot of these games are transitioning to VR. And then, all of a sudden you're starting to get your limbs and stuff around, and that's really kind of adds to the realism of playing a game in that scenario. So regardless, the submission has 4,500 upvotes, and people just seem to love this zany playlist that Xbox created. And, kind of kudos to them for just being goofy and making something that kind of tracks, So the games listed are Back 4 Blood, DayZ, Deathloop. Insurgency is on this list, but I saw some people raise some issue that maybe you can't see your legs in Insurgency. So,
I love how people are fighting back against the list.
Yes, they are. We already have some critics. They're like, wait a second, actually. So
I bought this game hoping to see my legs.
Yeah, right? I'm refunding it now. I just,
amazing.
You can't even see my toes. This is awful.
That's how I used to, when Halo 2 was my first online game, and that's how I was at the beginning of every match. I would always, the first thing you do is look at your feet just to check what color you were. Like, I'm blue team, good.
That's actually really funny. We had another kind of highly rated post this week featuring Halo 2. He just kind of reminded me of it. A video created by Summoning Salt. This is a YouTube creator that does speedrun videos, but does them in a way that will make them interesting even if you don't like speedruns. And they did a Halo 2 one this week. I've heard really good things about it. One of the comments in that post described it like this: once you hear that theme music, you know you're in for like an hour of zen. It really is kind of like you just sit there and melt. You're like 20 minutes into the other videos, and you're like, how am I still watching this? Why can't I stop watching this? It's that kind of experience. So just a little shout out to Summoning Salt and that Halo 2 speedrun video. Especially if you're into Halo 2, dig it up on YouTube. Thank us later.
But the legs post, I'm just looking now. The legs post beat out sort of like the CMA, the PlayStation. Okay, it beat out the huge stories of the week.
It
was the
does.
most popular post.
And
The
you know
legs.
what? I love that, because one of the things that we've strived for in this community is not always being just dry CMA, dry news, game release,
Yeah,
game
yeah.
release, game release. We'd like to try to make a little space for fun. So that's why there's still a screenshot and a video or gameplay flare, so people can share those
Yeah.
fun moments of these games that we're all enjoying together. And it seldom has it become a problem where it's overrun the community. I think when we did Flight Simulator, it got a little crazy. Like, people were just like, hey, here's my house, hey, I flew into my neighbor's house, hey, and so we had to dial them back a little bit. But for the most part, I think it really does add some fun to a hobby that we're supposed to be enjoying, that we're all here to have fun and not always be arguing with each other and beating ourselves up over. So I'm happy to see a post like that track. It makes me smile a little. And I know some people hate it, and I'm sorry. If you go to the next post down, it's a CMA story. You're fine. I promise. I promise. So
Yeah, and I actually think like categories like that kind of help. I mean, maybe not like, I can see my legs, but if they keep going with like specific things like that, because the source sometimes just gets flooded, like multiplayer doesn't always mean the same thing. So if they can get like oddly specific, even if it is in like a humorous way, like someone might be like, that's exactly what I was thinking about when I was thinking of a type of game I want to play. It could be just a very niche topic that someone was looking for.
Well, yeah, we often get questions about what should I play, that kind of thing, and they're really repeated. We try to make sure that those questions are specific, like at least label a genre. Don't just be like, hey, I got an Xbox, what should I play? That's a bad post. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nobody can answer that because they don't know your personal preferences. But when you can see gameplay like this, when other gamers are sharing, and I've certainly fallen for games where I've been like, wow, what am I looking at? I have to go download that and check it out myself. So like Gollum, when I see that, I'm just like, just kidding, of course, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So it is a great way to get word out about, especially these indie titles and a lot of stuff that kind of flies under the radar. So should we get into some hard news? Should we get into something maybe a little more decent? We're going to probably start off with the PlayStation Showcase. That was the second highest rated post this week on the subreddit. It wasn't something from PlayStation. It was actually from Xbox, who very cheekily tweeted out right after the PlayStation show all the games from that show that would be coming to Xbox, including what we got: Ghost Runner 2, we have Marathon. This is a first party PlayStation game showing that Bungie is indeed committed to multi-platinum games as a service games, because they make more money. It just makes sense. We have Metal Gear Solid Delta. A lot of people were asking what the triangle is. That's the Delta. And that's going to be there was a little speculation that might be a PlayStation exclusive. It is not. It's also coming to Xbox. Dragon's Dogma 2 coming to Xbox. Alan Wake 2, Plucky Squire, Cat Quest. Kepler just picked up that developer. Kepler's worked very closely with us before. I hope to get in touch with them and maybe do something around Cat Quest, because those games are gorgeous. But that's also coming to Xbox, as well as Assassin's Creed Mirage. That's not a surprise. And Talos. I actually don't know what that last game is. I'll have to look into that. But anyways, the main point here is that almost everything that was shown at the PlayStation Showcase is also making its way to Xbox. And there was kind of some moans and groans out there about what was shown. People were expecting some bigger things. They did show Spider-Man 2, a huge chunk of gameplay. If you're into the Spider-Man games, I think that looked fantastic as somebody who's not a fan of them. So that says that it's probably pretty good. So I'm not a big Spider-Man fan per se. So the license doesn't do it for me. The gameplay I think is solid. I think it's a little repetitive, but like I said, those are very small nitpicks. And if you enjoy it, don't let me don't let me rain on your parade. I think that did look very solid for PlayStation. So what did you guys watch the show first of all, and what did you take away from it? I know Anthony was kind of watching it with me because we were.
I was tracking. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to really get into the PlayStation side of it. If that makes sense. But I mean, I nearly fell off my seat when Alan Wake 2 came on. That was just like unbelievable for me. I was like, just to see it as well. You know, I wanted to see it. It's one of my favorite games of all time, Alan Wake. And then, but the surprising thing for me was that they didn't show any but they showed one first party title.
And it wasn't a new announcement,
it wasn't a new announcement.
No bombs were launched.
And I was tracking it on different forums as we were watching, and everyone was just like, "It's coming, saving it all for the end." And we've been there before. I
was gonna say, as an Xbox fan, we just did this last year, so we know exactly how you feel on the PlayStation side in this case.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, but then it was getting closer to the wrap up time, and I'm like, it's not coming. So I don't know what's going on there. That's a crazy thing. But Alan Wake 2 looked incredible.
Alan Wake 2 did look incredible.
I really thought the new Assassin's Creed game looked amazing.
It did. Mikey,
I like Assassin's Creed anyway, but I mean, it just looked visually, it looked stunning. They brought it back down to this sort of assassin model, they reduced the size of the map. It just looked tight.
It's more about being an actual assassin, is what Mikey said, and he was asking for that. And he was also asking for the Last of Us 2. What is the multiplayer? Is it the Last of Us?
Mikey,
Factions.
Last of Us
Factions,
there's just been news today that's on the back burner now. So
it is. That's why we didn't see it. It's been delayed. So obviously they want to cook that one a little longer.
A shock all around really about the overall state of the show. I thought they were going to smash it out of the park. I just thought this is it. This is there. After everything that's been going on with Microsoft and the state of play with the Xbox, and then Redfall, and this was the moment, and they didn't take it.
They didn't. A lot of people were expecting that haymaker, that counter punch, like, oh god, here they come, and here comes SOCOM and all these franchises that people were kind of asking to come back. But
do you know what else surprised me?
What's that?
Massively, the amount of CGI. Like how many? I mean, we were talking back and forth, but a lot of the games are coming up saying like not gameplay, and it was like CGI renders of, and that really shocked me. Because fans expect gameplay now. That era for me is past, where we were being palmed off with after Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
I just thought that we would get more, but unfortunately not.
Fans are really wary of gameplay, deceptive trailers, showing trailers on other hardware. So anytime you see that fine print on the bottom, and it's like, this is not gameplay footage. You see a lot of really weird disclaimers when you're watching trailers for games that are coming out. Like, this is not actually the game. And I'm just like, oh, what am I looking at? I don't know what's happening. Like, what are you trying to show me? Is this a Pixar movie? Okay, I guess. I don't know what's happening. So, regardless, it was kind of, I guess, underwhelming. It's a lot of the consensus. I did see some people out there that were like, that was a great show. And, if you felt that way, nobody can change that. It's just, we kind of go by the Twitterverse, and it's a terrible place to base your reactions on, but that's where a lot of people pull their rating of the show. And I saw a lot of polls out there, like, how did you feel about it? Was it great? Was it okay? Was it bad? That kind of thing. And most of them were landing kind of in the okay to bad area. And I don't want to say bad, because I thought that was a lot of good looking games there. I would be happy, and I am happy as a PlayStation owner to see those there, but again, it's nothing that's going to make me be like, man, I need to, like, I'm not going to be playing my Xbox, and that didn't happen at that show.
This is where I'm at, right? I don't own a PS5, and I was watching that show thinking, I'm gonna have to get a PS5 after today. Like, I know it's coming, but it didn't. I don't feel the urge to go and buy it.
Nothing got PS5. Final Fantasy gets me. So Final Fantasy 16, which was at the show, looks fantastic. Probably going to be a pretty good game. But if you're not into that, I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, I was from the preview, the talk on like Resetter and all that stuff, and all the Sony fans that I was reading, they were expecting like the new Uncharted to be revealed, and
there you go. That would be a big.
And Last of Us Factions, and it was like Spider-Man 2. I thought looked great, but it kind of just looked like the last Spider-Man game. I don't know what I expected, but it just looked like a Spider-Man 1.5 to me.
There you go.
Um,
I think
But
that's fair.
I don't know what I expected. People keep saying this, don't they, about like this generation? It's not going to be this huge leap. It's all about physics and gameplay, and I get that. But it was very Uncharted for me. That gameplay, you know, it was all a big one. The cuts, the way it played out, the cinematic scene, and I got that vibe from it. But again, it doesn't make me want to go and spend £500 on it.
I think Spider-Man could be a catalyst. I think Final Fantasy could be a catalyst if you're kind of like, if you have other systems and you're waiting to jump over to the PlayStation side. Nothing else in that show would be a catalyst. Something that would make somebody jump, I don't think, because none of it was really exclusive to PlayStation. And, you know, we've been talking about how important that is with Xbox and how they're trying to sort out their own problems with that, with their well-documented problems of the lack of the games that bring you in. And, you know, Nintendo seems to be the only one out there that's really killing it right now, just delivering, you know, Zelda, Pokemon, all the big hits. You know, everybody wants to hear the hits.
Yeah,
You're
and
a
I think
PS5 on, yeah? Ivan, you got a PS5?
yeah, I have PS5, yeah. And the thing about that showcase, right? The thing that gets me, right, is like, yeah, they announced great games, and yeah, a lot of them weren't exclusive, but it's like a lot of these games we knew were already coming. You know what I mean? Like, you know, even I guess Metal Gear Solid was like the big, like, oh wow, here it is, and here's also the collection, which I hope is multi-platform as well. But like, you know, the way they're doing the remakes again. But it was just weird that it's like we've seen all this before. You know, like we've been here, and the things that we didn't see before were the CGI trailers, like you were saying. And you know, when you mentioned like Alan Wake 2, I'm really excited for that as well. But the thing that makes me not so excited is that I think we're starting to get to the point where physical media is going to stop because they are the first ones to be like, there's no physical. That's why we're keeping the price we are. And it's like, man, I think the digital future is sooner than I think now. You know?
Yeah, very good story,
I believe
actually.
somebody's. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say a couple good points from Ivan there is first of all, yes, Alan Wake 2 is confirmed to be digital only. They're using that to justify not selling at $70, which is a very good thing to bring up around that game, and also that you know that these games weren't new. There were no like, you know, surprise drops, and that's what gamers love at these shows. It's just like, oh, I'm nothing. Oh my, can you know, they want that moment where it just melts your face, if you will. If that's the equivalent of like a concert where they're just, you know, they bring out the big gun and they slay everyone, but that just didn't happen. So it's a lot of, okay, we know this is coming. Okay, this looks good. Okay, nothing to really like break the internet. You know, nothing where it's on Twitter. It was like, oh my god, I can't believe they just announced. You know, that's crazy. Snake Plissken and Final Fantasy. What's happening? Or, you know, whatever. Just some kind of crazy scenario. But it's yeah. Go
There's
ahead.
an article today that THQ Nordic today have offered to publish a physical edition of Alan Wake 2.
Huh.
That's the news going around today. THQ Nordic. So maybe there is a physical disc coming. But yeah, you're right. It can't. That was a big news.
Yeah, and you know, physical media diehards. I first of all, I totally get it. You know, you can't go, you can't lose access to a game that's on disc. Hopefully, unless you need to download stuff or it's always online. But it's or for collectors. You know, that's another thing too. But it sure seems to be going the way of, you know, like vinyl and stuff, where we're almost starting to get like, well, if you want it for the collection, here you are. Here's a box, but the game just doesn't matter as much.
The first game had a really good collector's edition. I don't know if you saw it. It was like a novel, like a book.
No, that's great.
It was really cool. So I think people who had that are expecting, you know, a repeat of that for the second, and they're disappointed.
But yeah, I'm used to seeing this like with PC, because like PC basically went through it. Like I'm reliving history in a way where it's like, I remember stores, you know, like when Steam was picking up Steam, I guess, you saw like things in the store just starting to get smaller, like the PC section at GameStops and things like that were like shrinking, and then all of a sudden everything's digital. And it's kind of like that now. Like if you go into a GameStop, like the new Xbox Series X and S or the PS5 section is pretty small. You're thinking, oh well, it hasn't populated fully yet. It's like, no, I think we're just gonna see it not, and that's it. It's really sad. I hope that changes though, but maybe not. I think with Alan Wake making that move first, it's only a matter of time before more people do it. And it's like, oh well, we could keep the cost down if we do this, and then people will be like, oh okay, and then you'll still have like Call of Duty at 70. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a game somebody posted on the Subtweet. I can't remember the game, but there's a game being discontinued or, you know, pulled in 2 weeks' time, and it's still like $70 on the store, and they were saying that exact point. You know,
Yeah.
there's no incentive for the reduction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild out there. It's a hot debate. Physical media proponents are very passionate about it, and I have tried to explain why I'm digital, and I'm like, I'm happy that you're physical, and sometimes people get very angry about it. And they start attacking each other like they're two different teams. I'm like, what we should be able to do is appreciate the perks of both, the positives of each side of it. For digital, there's a lot of redundancy. Like if your disc breaks or somebody like robs you, or if your house burns down, if you lose access to the disc, you lose access. But if you're digital, you have that backup where you can just re-download it to a new system, which is kind of nice. But in the same case, you're putting all of your trust in these digital marketplaces, and what happens if one of them, decides what if they fold completely, that kind of thing. And we have reassurances out there from like Steam where they're like, oh, well, we'll just let you download everything before we close up shop, but if your company's in bankruptcy and folding, are you really in the stable position to be like, oh, well, we'll just make this all good before we completely close the doors? There's a lot of worry out there about the digital future, and I understand it, but I have been fully digital since the 360 generation because I've embraced it. I trust Microsoft. I like the dual licensing. I like being able to buy one game and share it with my family in-house, where you can both play it, so it's cost effective. If you have an Xbox 360 from like 15 years ago, like nobody can come take those games away from you, even if they're all downloaded digitally. Like Xbox can't access your 360 and be like, you can't have those games anymore. Like they're yours. It's exactly as good as physical, except in this case, if the console dies, you're out of luck. Instead of it, the disc breaks. So, like I said, it's a well-worn debate, but it sounds like, Ivan, you're definitely a physical proponent, and I appreciate that. More for the collection angle, is that kind of where it's at? You just like to have the box, or?
Yeah, because like one of the things I like about consoles, like because I like what makes it different than a PC. You know what I mean? So like over the generations, and I see them become more like PCs. Basically, I'm like, they're kind of losing what made them special. Like I'm going back to like Genesis, Super Nintendo,
Sure.
where they just look different because of the hardware, right? So it's like part of that was also like going to the store, getting the physical game, and putting it in. So it's just more of like a nostalgia, But I mean, a lot of my games are digital. I have a digital library on everything, but it's just it's nice that it came with that as well. And to see that go is kind of sad, especially since it was like I didn't pay more for it, where it's like, oh, I could either get $60 here and just have a code, or get $60 here and have like at least a box, a disc, or something, something like physical.
For sure. Walking into
Yeah.
Funko Land or GameStop or your local game shop, and in like the late 90s, early 2000s for me is cherished memory. And I know it's going way back, but you go in there, like all the new games that come out on like one day, and be like, oh my gosh, what do you got? And they might only have one copy left of like some game that nobody really wants, but you love, and you're just like, oh. And you walk out with the store and you crack that thing open, and they spent some time on the cases. They'd include like maps and all this great content in the box. Now you get that little sleeve, like a one-page thing is black and white, and it's just the EULA kind of thing. So I do miss that.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that. Plus the aftermarket, just being able to throw a game at your friend and stuff. And with digital, we've never seen anything close to that outside of maybe the original Xbox One proposal, where they were talking about being able to sell your digital license back to GameStop, and then or sharing with your friends and that kind of thing. But we never got the full details on that. But hopefully in the future, maybe that's something that they can look at again, but maybe not, because we all know how that went last time. So let's get into the CMA stuff a little bit. We should just kind of touch on it. There weren't a whole lot of juicy big stories this week. Microsoft did officially appeal the decision, which means that it's going to the CAT, which is, I don't know what that stands for. This is where you need a Mikey and a Kevin. I'm looking at Anthony because he's from the UK.
I don't know. I
No,
don't know. I don't
thought
know
he
what
might
that
be able to
stands for.
help us, but he's not.
No,
So that's
sorry.
okay. The big takeaway here is that they have formally appealed the decision. Activision Blizzard King will also formally appeal the decision, which gives them two appeals. There's a lot of people, inside of the people that spend way too much time trying to understand all of this. They do seem to feel somewhat positively for Microsoft in this in this appeal. The lead judge, I'm not even sure if that's the proper term, but there's going to be a 3-person panel, just so I don't mislabel them. The lead on it is a patent expert, and a lot of people feel this is favorable to Microsoft because we're talking about this new technology, and it is kind of closely related to patenting. That's a good one. A new tech. or it's kind of like having it only held by one party, I guess. So they'll be able to look at if there's lanes for other competitors in the cloud gaming market, basically. So we'll keep tabs on that. There was also another story about the CMA senior director being formerly working with a Sony law firm, and I hate that this one blew up actually, because it lots of people have worked for Microsoft or for law firms attached to Microsoft, and I understand that maybe how it looks is not the best, but I don't think that we can start digging into people's work histories that from that far long ago and using that as a real like basis for like bias. Like we should throw it out because a long time ago they worked on a project for Sony. That's seems to be a bridge too far, but a lot of you ate it up because that was the third biggest story on the subreddit this week. So before we close out of there, did you guys, I know, weird question, did you have any CMA tidbits that you picked up on or anything that you think we should highlight this week? Yeah.
I just follow the Foss Basics guy, and
there you go.
He breaks everything down. Like he does like 30 tweet threads of blow by blow, and it's just really interesting. I'd suggest that anyone just follow him if they want to.
There you go.
If you want any in-depth information.
Yeah, 1,000 times better than us trying to basically rehash the information that the guys like him are putting out there. So highly recommend if you want to stay up to date on the latest.
At this point, I just want to see the deal either go through or get blocked, basically, because it's like then we can move to the next thing. Cause I feel like this has been going like I can't even imagine how Microsoft and Activision are dealing with. Like we're just people who will either reap the rewards or not. But these are the people who are like going in trying to spend like close to $70 billion. I can't imagine that, like having that over your head for so long. Right. Like that must be rough.
The worst case scenario would be this being dragged out even longer and then not having it not come to fruition. But we know that there's been a lot of conversation too about different moves that Microsoft could make to kind of push things through around the UK if they needed to. Who knows if we'll end up there? Let's hope not. Let's hope they can work it out. Or I kind of get what you're saying. There was a point where I'm just like, man, just cancel it so we can start looking at other smaller things to buy or whatever it's gonna we're gonna do with that money. Not we. I'm starting to sound like a sports fan. It's awful, but I got my $70 billion back here in the closet. Hold on, now
I've been waiting to spend it.
Yeah, I just had no idea what to get. Phil Spencer sends his congratulations to his PlayStation counterpart over the recent what is it? The kickoff to the show season, he called it. So he was congratulating them on their show. This is Phil Spencer does this every single time, but you all love it. Anytime he does, you all upvote it to high heavens because I guess it's nice to see that kind of camaraderie, or at least even if it's face value, just kind of sportsmanship, if you will. I think it's good sportsmanship. Good game. LOL.
I wonder what he's thinking. I mean, he saw that with everyone else. We've got FanFest coming up. He knows what's in the bag, what they're gonna show. It's just love to just sort of be a fly on the wall.
Ayla Music helped us out. It's the Competition Appeal Tribunal, which I will never remember. That's a mouthful. So thanks for that, Ayla. They also asked they were asking if the PlayStation show makes us a little more excited or a little worried about the Xbox showcase coming up.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say more. I mean, because Xbox have got to bring it now. Like,
so yeah, I think it's kind of.
I know they have to bring it anyway after Redfall, but I mean now it's like I said before.
Anthony, let Redfall go. Nobody wants to remember that.
Like I said before about Sony, like Sony saying like that was their moment and they blew it. Like this is now Microsoft's moment. This is their moment.
That's some strong language. They blew it.
Well,
they didn't. They left the door open. Let's say that they left a window of opportunity
you're being pragmatic. I just if Microsoft have to come out strong now, and I think it's gonna. I think they're gonna do it. I think they're gonna have to. Anything they've got in the barrel, they're gonna have to shoot at this FanFest.
You think they're just gonna open it up if they're holding? Nope, we're not getting that 12-month thing anymore. They're just gonna be like, this is everything we have cooking. And also, ABK is closed. Just kidding. That's a weird scenario.
Well, that was something.
Now there's a bomb. Now that's how you do a show.
What do you think about FanFest? Are you thinking they're gonna smash it, or?
I mean, I think because all right. So with the last showcase, it was supposed to be a 12-month projection. Like this is what we have. Yeah. Here it comes. And I get delays and I get all that. But at this point, like I feel like we're due. So I definitely am more excited than like the PlayStation showcase, only because that was sort of like an overall showcase of what we already seen. And I think Xbox is going to also be what we've already seen because they're kind of a year behind now. But we might get like a release date. That would be cool. You know, like we saw Forza Motorsport now has like a cover, you know, they have 2 cover cards. Like, okay, we're getting somewhere here. So will we know when that's going to be dropping? Do we know when Hellblade 2 is going to be dropping? I know everyone's like, you know, honing in on Starfield. I'm sure that's going to get a lot more information as well and more coverage. But it's like now they might be able to at least put in some dates, and sometimes dates is enough for people to be like, "Oh, that's all I wanted to know. I'm so excited." And it could be the same games we've seen a million times, but it's like just knowing, oh, it's before March. Oh, it's going to be June. This it's going to be whatever that. It helps a lot.
Are we going to see things like Fable? Which has just been.
Oh, maybe not that. Well,
no,
I've seen a lot of people speculating that we're going to see a little more of Fable, or maybe Elder Scrolls 6, and those are the games that people got mad at them about because all they showed was that Elder Scrolls, that's it. Like 10 seconds they basically put the font above some pre-rendered like tree scene or something. And I was like, oh, I guess at least it confirmed it was coming. I guess that's big news, but. Is it really news? Like, did anybody think they were just done with Elder Scrolls? Like,
and like you say, it dampens the PlayStation conference anyway. When they immediately tweet afterwards that we're 90% of these titles you're gonna get.
Yeah, that was ice cold. That was.
I mean, that's usually what I do on showcases anyway. I always look to see, is this on Steam? Like, or something like that. And Xbox saved me the trip. I'm like, great, thank you.
I remember Mikey, we had in the Discord, and Mikey was Dragon's Dogma 2 came on. And Mikey was just like, please let this be not exclusive. Please let this not be exclusive. And it's not, it's just an amazing sort of, it's very different the way that the social media is handled, isn't it, from Sony and from Microsoft. And Microsoft remind me of something like the Domino's approach, or the where it's just off the cuff. They've got a really sort of witty social media manager.
Yeah, Sony doesn't seem to trouble themselves with social media much, and that's sort of where Xbox kind of comes in as like a window. They're like, all right, we're gonna make whatever tweets, like it's Friday, let's start gaming. Where Sony's just radio silence, like new showcase now, like that's when you see them on media. Otherwise, or here's the new DualSense color. But like Xbox would just be talking like someone who was left alone with the Twitter account, and you should probably find them in the office somewhere.
Well, like I said, I from my line of work and stuff, I know that this is corporate social accounts that go through multiple red tape. Like things, you don't just tweet something out. These tweets are prepared well in advance, and they have the image ready to go, and it's just interesting. I find it. I like their social media use and how they do it, and Xbox afterwards, yeah, it was just amazing. It was just incredible. They did it within 5 minutes of the show ending.
Well, I mean, the Xbox social team is really kind of top notch. They embrace Reddit, where Sony stays away from it. While they have user accounts in here, mixing it up with the users, and they post directly to their streams on our communities, and they interact with us. They want to reach out to us. They've told us personally. We've talked to Megan McGame Pass, Larry Major Nelson, all these people with Xbox, and they've reached out to us at different various times and said, hey, we love Reddit. We want to embrace it. We want to get in there and talk to our users and our gamers more. And I think that's shows a real commitment to trying to build a community and be a part of the community. And I know Sony does things a little differently, but I greatly appreciate having access to some of these people that can answer our questions for us, or help us all enjoy this hobby even more.
It gives us a bit of insight as well, I think, to what's going on behind the scenes, because like as soon as Metal Gear Solid was announced at the showcase mid-show, Xbox tweeted the crate and the exclamation point. And everybody was like, "Whoa, we're getting it as well." They didn't even have to say anything; they just put the crate in it.
Yeah, it's clever. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, but obviously, sort of like they're not allowed to mention this, are they, until Sony have announced it. So the second that clip was over, they put it on their social media, and it's like, so it's all these games that we saw on the Sony showcase obviously NDA'd or sort of held back. There's some agreement in place that Sony has the first marketing.
Yeah, they get the announce, which is
which is super interesting with like Assassin's Creed, with all the Alan Wake 2. I mean, Alan Wake historically is an Xbox It's an Xbox title, right?
There was a time where I believe Microsoft had an opportunity to make Alan Wake kind of in-house, to make it an Xbox-focused or maybe even exclusive game, and apparently they passed on that at some point. But that's, in this case, hey, I am happy to see everybody get to enjoy it, as many games. So, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Did we want to talk about Gollum? We should probably. I know we don't want to talk about it, but we should probably acknowledge it, right?
Yeah, well, stay away.
Stay away. Is that it? We were kind of talking about it a little bit in the pre-show, and we were. I think we said that maybe. I think it's at a 4.0 now, or 40 out of 100. Anthony said that at one point it was like 3.0, and then
it had a zero. So
or 3.8.
Some outlets would give it a 0, which there's been some pushback on, saying a 0 should be for a game that doesn't work at all.
It doesn't exist.
But
I mean, yeah, you should get 1 point. Like,
yeah, it's like you put the disc in and it doesn't load. That should be a 0.
Yeah.
But since then, we've found out that if you launch the game with Gollum's hair settings on, it doesn't work. That's
Oh,
what
really?
I've been reading. Yeah, do you not know this?
oh no, okay.
And there's a reviewer received a note with his review copy saying, "Please do not set Gollum's hair to be on, or your game won't work." And like, it's messed up. So it's completely
You can't ship that. You can't do it.
Yeah.
Even review copies. That's pretty bad. Like, just.
But then
go ahead.
they released a bigger apology. Did you see the studio apology that he tweeted out? They released a statement apologising and saying that they will fix. And then I believe it was possibly Jason Schreier posted an op-ed saying that, or a Twitter tweet saying that he doesn't think, games company should be apologising in that sense, in that way. That it's like it's kind of like it's back and forth now, but yeah, terrible news for them. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
not so precious apparently is a comment from Bill Ad. You got to feel for the entire development team. Ever since the first trailer was announced, everyone expected it to fail, and now they are doubling down on the negativity because it has. Not saying it's not deserved, but that's got to be unpleasant for several people who have committed months of their lives to this. So, we all get a little carried away in the hyperbole and start dunking on games, especially after the Redfall debacle. But that's a very fair point. A lot of people put a lot of time and work into this, and maybe they're up against walls that we don't know. Like, you got to ship this. They're like, no, we need more time. They're like, no, you got to ship it. And, these things happen, and that hurts.
Yeah,
That's the only explanation. That's the only explanation. How can you work as an artist or a game developer? You know what state the game's in.
You do. You have to, and it's bad. It's bad that these games are getting shipped, and it's a real problem right now. These unfinished games, they'll patch it in later, they'll develop it as it goes. Like, every game should be releasing in game preview mode is the way I'm starting to look at it, like we got with Grounded or something like that. That's how you, if you want to build your game, that's how you do it. Don't come out and charge somebody $60 or $70 and be like, hey, all right, now we're ready to start working on the game. And I'm just like, what the heck what did I just buy, man? What is this, a beta test? I guess, I know it's not a new complaint, but it doesn't seem to be a situation that's getting any better. We're still getting these broken games that are just released, and it's not even necessarily the gameplay. They're just broken. Like, they're actually broken. You can't turn your hair on.
I find it funny too, because it's like I was mentioning, in Discord and stuff, that like I would love to see the 10-point scale used more, to where like, because basically 7 is like a pretty mediocre game, or like a 6 is a mediocre game, but you don't usually see 6 too much. Like, something like Gollum might have gotten a 6 back in the day, but like now they're going into that scale, but it's usually the dunk on a game, and it's kind of weird. But I remember Anthony mentioning like, seeing Spider-Man 2 at the showcase. It doesn't look very next gen. It looks like Spider-Man 1.5. I think we're seeing, Gollum is like functionally not working, but like we're seeing people being a little more harsh with these games now, because it's like, I got a PS5 or I got a Series X. Where's my next gen experience? We're 3 years in. Like, this is like the halfway point, and it's like, when you get something like Gollum, you're like, are you serious? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, now it's even more like of a disrespectful move. And I think now people are just getting really sick of it, including the critics.
Well, 100%. And this generation has had such a drag on it with the pandemic, which was a reason, not an excuse, a reason for a lot of the slow development cycles. And then also the carrying of the last generation, the slow transition to the hardware, the bigger audience, because you can still create a PlayStation 4 game that works just fine on the PlayStation 5. Same for the Xbox One. Why would you not want to make your game available to a player base that's tens of millions of players larger, than just limiting it to new hardware. So the only reason to really push new hardware is if you think that you're pushing the envelope so much that it's going to draw people to your game. It's going to be a system seller. So that really falls on first party games. So the people that have to make these leaps and bounds for us are the first party studios, and we're not necessarily seeing that yet from Xbox or PlayStation. I think God of War was pretty good. I have like 30 minutes into it, so I'm not going to give you the God of War review, but looked amazing. Like that felt next gen to me, and I think we haven't seen a whole lot of that.
Yeah, I heard Ratchet and Clank was also like a next gen showcase as well in some ways. Yeah, because I think
Ratchet and Clank is for me is one of the best visually the best games I've ever seen. But then I haven't played it, and I'm not sure if the gameplay holds up. But,
I would assume it does, just based on past titles. If you're into that kind of gameplay, though, that's a solid franchise. So thanks for bringing that up, because actually I've been meaning to check that out. So I probably should at some point after I beat all those Final Fantasies. Let's see. We should talk a little bit about Activision Blizzard being fined for not disclosing loot boxes to Europe's games rating board. They were the way the title puts it is they were fined 0.00007% of 1 year's earnings. So that's
how much is that in real dollars?
Somebody did if you give me just a moment here, for comparison's sake, if you make $70,000 a year, that would be the equivalent of being fined a nickel if you round up, which is what I loved about that comment. So a little under a nickel on your $70,000. So basically for every 70 grand they made, they were fined 5 cents.
Yeah, so they probably basically did that intentionally, knowing that they were going to get fined. Like, oh well, we will just eat the cost if that happens.
You know what? There's I don't know the regions. I don't know how the numbers in Europe. None of us really do. But there's a very good case to be made that companies have done that before. They're like, well, we'll make more money by paying the fine than complying with the law. So there you go. Grand Theft Auto 6 is aiming to be something you've never seen before, says Take-Two boss. And are we already into this? Like, I know Grand Theft Auto 6 is starting to loom. Like, we're definitely starting to get indications that it's coming pretty soon. But these hype articles are going to be going on forever.
Media Machine.
Yeah,
Media Machine is rolling, isn't it, with GTA 6 for sure.
The top comment by Vermin Tamasalis is, it is literally something we've never seen for like a decade.
I think
Go on.
I was gonna say, I think this is Rockstar's way of saying that it's a game that's gonna actually work, because we haven't seen it in a while.
If you read the comments in that thread, it is really funny, like the things that people.
I love our users. They're usually pretty witty, and they have some great responses. So I did want to get back to Ayla Music, who's joining us tonight, and we appreciate you coming to the live stream, because most of our audience is in podcast, and they watch the video later. But they were hoping to say that we get that Fallout 4 next gen update. A lot of people have really been waiting for that, and Fallout 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. I would be very happy to dive back in with a new coat of paint on it. The problem for that right now is Diablo. We should talk about this a little bit. And then Starfield coming. Like 3 months after that. Like it's gonna be. Are we getting there? These are the games I'm excited about. Like, this is the first time this generation where I've been like, now they're speaking to me. Like, I guess the Halo. I know we have Halo fans, but that didn't do it for me. But these ones do it for me. So let's talk about Diablo a little bit. Have you guys pre-ordered? Are you in on the Diablo hype? Are you buying KFC this Monday?
I'm not buying KFC. I'm actually allergic to chicken, which I found out in a horrible turn of events.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, let's
their mashed potatoes are good.
Yeah, their mashed potatoes are good. Maybe I could do that, but no, I'm definitely pre-ordering it because I want to get in on that early access. Like, early access, that's all you gotta say. Now pre-order it,
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to play it. I want to be a necromancer so bad,
All right, you're gonna be that's fitting. I feel like you'd be a great necro. Like that character exudes from you. So I will probably be shooting laser beams, because I usually sorcerer. I'm just comfortable with that character. I'm really curious to try the other ones, but I don't want to get to like level 40 and be like, man, I'm not really feeling this. I know what I'm getting with the sorcerer because I played him in every Diablo there is. Anthony, what's that make you? What's your class of choice?
So I'm gonna level with you.
Oh,
I'm a Diablo virgin.
That's okay.
Oh no,
that's actually fantastic.
So the first Diablo I played was this one in the open beta, where the one that's just happened, and I only put in like an hour on it.
That's okay.
It was good. I can see what it is, but I haven't played Diablo.
So I feel like
as
it's at base value. Maybe Diablo isn't a game that really gets its hooks into you like it does for a lot of people. You know, just because the gameplay itself is kind of, we've all played action role playing games. We've been playing them for years, and it doesn't stray too far from that old school formula. What really builds on this game for me is the story, the lore, the amount of customization, just the polish and how fine tuned everything is. But I think what really gets me is the social aspects of this game. There's a clan system where you can have, I think, maybe 200 members. There's the team fights, the boss kills. You know, when you're doing like an 11, 12 person boss kill, like that's a really good kind of, it's a good feeling when you accomplish something as a group together. I know we get that. I talked about it last week of Destiny and some other similar games, but this is the first time on console where outside of the MMOs like Elder Scrolls Online, where we've seen an action role-playing game dive into this kind of formula. So I'm just so excited. I can't wait to be out there with everybody running around and causing havoc.
Ivan, were you a World of Warcraft player back in the day?
Oh yeah, and even recently, I actually played Dragonflight when it came out.
Okay, so I haven't
Nice.
played Warcraft. I haven't played World of Warcraft, right? That was like, I was more like console and not non-PC. But I know Jay was as well, heavily World of Warcraft. So is Diablo sort of a natural extension of that, of coming up through World of Warcraft? Is that because that's what it reminded me of when I was playing it. I know it's different.
You know what? It's not, but it is. I think there's some of the team building, the boss fights, like I was talking about. Like the boss fight definitely felt very World of Warcraft. There's a rule 1 in World of Warcraft boss fights is don't stand in the stupid. So they're stupid all over. Yeah, if you're standing in the stupid, you're gonna die. And you know, a lot of these mechanics play true. What doesn't play true is there's no healing. There's not the Holy Trinity. Like I can't heal another character. There's no restoration class. So it's all damage and tanking, but the tanks kind of self heal. So if you're
it is very Destiny then. Like I'm that
Yeah.
sounds like the Destiny maids.
I think that's a good fair comparison. Probably closer to Destiny than World of Warcraft.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's really hard to explain Diablo when you haven't played it because like it sort of created its own genre. There's a lot of Diablo clones, you know, and like basically a lot of ARPGs follow Diablo because it's been around for so long. So it's like when you're like, well, is it like this game? It's like, well, those games kind of borrowed from Diablo. Now that yeah.
True in a lot of ways for sure. I think the moment that it hits me and why I love it so much is it'll be like late in the night and you'll have been playing for like 4 hours in the middle of a dungeon and you won't even be thinking about the game. You'll be thinking about like some other stuff. You're just in this complete trance but you're just blasting through levels and you're like, oh, I'm just having so much fun. And it's like a Zen feeling. I can't explain it, but I love it, and I don't get it in very many other games. It's a really pleasant experience.
The fact that everyone's talking about it. I know Kev's in it. All you guys are involved. I mean, I'm definitely going to pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just out your time zones though, so
it doesn't matter.
Like,
I'll be up at like 4 a.m. playing Diablo. Like it's that kind of game. So I'll find you. The social thing is big for me. I'd like that. We'll be able to have community members in here. You know, we'll all be able to do these things together and achieve stuff. And you know, I'm sure there will be some kind of awful like clan ranking system where clans will go against each other if it's just grinding. Or Blizzard's really good about those hooks, like those little gameplay mechanics that keep you coming back. And quite honestly, I'm really excited to find out what the battle pass is about because I don't have any information on it. I don't know. How do you level up in your battle pass? Are you just running dungeons? You know, how does that all work out? So I've never been excited for a battle pass in my life, but I guess I'm excited to see what this one is.
Is that taking place of like seasonal characters, or because I don't know if seasonal characters are still a thing?
Also a good question. If you're not familiar, Diablo 3 had seasons. Every season you could re-roll a brand new character, so it was like a fresh start in the game. There was always like a little mechanic twist or something, and that's what kept that game fresh for so long. But with a game like this, they're talking about new story content every 3 months, with every battle pass. And it will be interesting to see if they expect you to re-roll or if you just have like a main character that you develop and gets a little more powerful with each battle pass, kind of like an MMO expansion type experience. So really good question there. We'll find out in less than a week. Oh my God. Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait, I have to 1, 2, 3, 5 days away. 5 days away, guys. I'm so excited.
That's why I want the Ultimate Edition.
4 sleeps.
That's for the early access. That's if you shell out the extra $20, I believe. If you do that, you get the first battle pass included. So if you're gonna do the battle pass, it probably makes sense to maybe splurge the extra 20 and get the upgraded edition. So I think that's it for Diablo talk for this week anyway. Next week you can expect a full.
Yeah.
It might be a full Diablo show. People are gonna have to shut me up. So we'll see how that goes. Exclusive from True Achievements breaking the story this week. There's new Xbox rule changes that look to target those easy gamer score titles that nobody up here knows anything about.
So I have information on this.
No way.
Well, you say that nobody was. So I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing.
Okay.
It's kind of, I get it. So there's basically they've released this new posts that you've got to hit, and the new rules are all achievements. They will fail if they hit any of these through the what's the word I'm looking for? The verification process. All achievements can be unlocked within a few minutes of starting the game. So that quite a lot of the cheese titles that come out. The second is achievements do not represent a thorough exploration or engagement with the game content. And the third is any achievements that can be unlocked without any user input unless required as part of the core gameplay loop. So it says here, if a game meets one of these examples, it will not pass certification.
Good.
So
sorry.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I've played a lot of games which would never have passed this certification. Is it good or bad? I don't know. There's a lot of people on Xbox who are just achievement hunters. That's what they do. They're doing it for just getting game score, and they're sort of excluding all that. I mean, True Achievements really is built on that.
I think that's why they got the scoop here. I think they probably out of respect for the back end system that they built on achievement tracking, which is extensive.
Yeah.
And this was posted actually by Sean TGN, who is he's a member of the True Achievement staff. So which we were gracious and allowed.
Yeah,
so,
I think it's actually a good thing though that they're doing it. Like I was even saying, like, because I've done some of those games myself, and I was hoping that they could retroactively just take the achievements off,
take them away from you.
Yeah, like I'm okay with the sacrifice, but I remember like about a year ago or maybe a couple months, PlayStation did something similar. They didn't like say, okay, these games aren't going to get it anymore, but there was a point where they were just getting flooded with like Jumpin' Taco Turbo, and things like that, where they were just easy platinums. And they stepped in to just basically make sure that they stay buried. They still pop up from time to time. But like with Xbox, I found it interesting because these games didn't necessarily pop up like that. Like you had to like, see like, oh, what are easy achievements? And then you'll find some YouTuber telling you how great they were. So it's interesting that they even felt the need to kind of come in and be like, all right, we're going to just get rid of this. But, I've seen it since 360 that gamer score has kind of gotten bloated over time. Like even games that I remember, they were arcade games. I got like 200 gamer score. Now they're 1,000. I'm like, well, that's weird.
Yeah, no.
So,
when the 360 first launched, when they actually had Xbox Live Arcade, like all those games were 200 achievement scores. So like Smash TV, right. Gauntlet, all these classic Midway games, all the ones that first launched, and that's how they kind of made the full value games, if you will, more impactful. But I'm one of those guys that's the achievement system's good. Not good actually, in my opinion, but I enjoy the concept of it. I enjoy what it brings to games. It makes me play games in ways that I wouldn't normally play them, or it helps you. It has you searching out goals and objectives that make favorite games more enjoyable for me, because it's not a goal that's built into the game, but it's a different way to enjoy it, I guess, if it's a speed run or a collectible type thing. But I think what I want is a relaunch and a rework of the achievement system. And I know that a lot of people have been asking for that. There's been hints to it. I don't know if we'll ever see it, but when you say it's bloated, it is. That number doesn't really mean a whole lot anymore. It's pretty cool. Obviously it shows that you played a lot of games, but it doesn't carry the weight that maybe it once did with all these just kind of weird kind of shovelware games. So I guess this is a way to kind of counteract that. Maybe it's a first step to something bigger, because that's really what I hope it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm torn because I'm torn on it. I really am. I get everything you said, but I don't think they can take people's achievements away.
You can't. But what would a rework?
Games. But I mean, from this point forward, if these are the rules, yeah, I can see it, and it is a better system. It's more, an achievement. The very word itself, it's not an achievement, is it? to open a game, not press any buttons and get 1,000 game score.
Yeah, that's
for
kind of a
example,
problem,
just
and
one-
it takes away from every other accomplishments. That's the thing, is
Yeah.
it cheapens everything else, and we don't want to cheapen it anymore. We want it to still feel like it has some kind of validity, like it has some kind of meaning, and when you do that, that kind of stuff, it really does. It chips away at the base of the whole system. So. I don't know what a Achievement 2.0 system would look like. We've talked about this a little bit before on the show, and I think Mikey had some good ideas. So maybe we'll broach that topic next week when we when you have everybody in. And then programming note: the following week will be the Xbox Bethesda. I don't know what they call it anymore, but anyways, the big show for Xbox, and we will be having all kinds of coverage around that. So I'm excited to. As many of you are, to find out what Xbox has in store with us. Are they going to throw that counter punch? Are they going to walk through that open door, to be like, hey, we still matter? It's not that bad, but if you believe some media sources, it is. We should mention with the Metal Gear Solid Delta that there was also a Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 collection that was shown at the PlayStation show, and that was not on the Xbox graphic, but the one that they clap back, if you will. But IGN has stated that those collections will be coming to Xbox for the first time. I don't know the original Metal Gear Solid. I'll have to look into that. I don't know which ones made it to Xbox and which ones did not, but it's kind of a interesting thing, especially if you're into retro gaming or those older titles like that. You were saying that you were playing Planet of Lana. It's got an 84 on OpenCritic, which is that was a pretty good score.
Did you play it? Did you try it?
I haven't downloaded it yet. I was nope. Oh yeah, I just got the look of shame. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to leave the podcast.
No.
I just
I'm
got
just
the glare.
saying.
It's okay. I'm out.
Definitely, honestly, just fire it up. It's a 5-hour game. I'm told. I'm about 3 hours into it. I'm told it's about 5. It's just really cool game.
It's really well received. The people I've seen talk about it seem to really enjoy it. I watched Jesse from Xbox Era stream it a little bit, and he was having a good time with it. So he's pretty. Yeah, that was good to see. So I'm excited for it. We got confirmation that Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai is coming to Xbox, which is, if you're a Square Enix kind of fan like I am still, even after all this craziness. It's nice to see Dragon Quest still making its way to Xbox. I actually did not play Dragon Quest 11 until I hit Game Pass, and oh my gosh, I wish I had not slept on that. That was such a great game. So I love the Dragon Quest universe. I actually might prefer it more to Final Fantasy at this point because it has stayed truer to its roots over time. It hasn't become Final Fantasy May Cry, as some people have said about 16. They're obviously focusing more on the action and less on the turn-based role-playing. So anyways, that's good news to see a little support anyways coming our way. And we did get a confirmation on the cover cars for Forza Motorsport, and those were one of them was a Cadillac. I can't remember the other one. If you're
Corvette E-Ray, the electric Corvette. Yeah, I like Corvettes, if you remember.
Thank you. I was like, I need a car guy. Help me out here. So that's awesome. I actually am excited for Motorsport though, because I enjoy those more than Horizon. I don't know if we've polled you guys on this. Are you a Horizon or a Motorsport fan?
I'm a Horizon.
Okay,
fan.
that's Horizon's a little more laid back. Motorsport is more white knuckled to me, and it's less arcadey. It's more. I'll drive around in a circle. I will. It's about hitting that corner perfectly every time at the apex, and I think it's a little bit of a Gran Turismo thing, which is also very good on the PlayStation side. Should know that.
When I was playing Gran Turismo, I'm like, man, I can't wait for Motorsport to come out, because I was just like, I was looking at the Xbox, I'm like, man, why is it only Horizon now? I want to play Motorsport.
Yeah, no, I do. I like the I prefer it.
Gran Turismo movie was shown in.
Oh god,
am I right? Did you see that?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
I didn't dream that, did I?
No, I knew it was coming. It had previously been announced, but to see that drop as kind of toward the end of the show when people were waiting for that big game, and then we got Gran Turismo the movie, and it was kind of
just after the Square Enix Splatoon.
Yes. Ayla Music says Motorsport definitely. They hope it's similar to how Project Cars 2 was. So there we go. We're 3-1 on Motorsport.
I will say this though about the Gran Turismo movie, right? Is like I'm kind of okay with that because we have the game, right?
Yeah.
But when I see like Twisted Metal, the show is coming out, I'm like, well, where's Twisted Metal? Like that's where I get upset. I'm like, give me a game, you know? Make
Well,
shows,
where,
sure, but give me a game too.
Yeah, I
where
would.
do you
I would
stand?
love a new Twisted Metal. That'd be a lot of fun.
Where do you stand on the Halo TV show?
Oh.
Maybe yes.
At least there's a Halo game, I guess.
Do we? I just jumped out of the airplane, man. I I don't want to touch either of those subjects today, so we'll call that good. I think we've gone through the news. I'm going to pull up one more page here to see if there's anything that we should touch on.
Just want to say that we're doing we're giving some codes away on Twitter if people want to check that out.
We are.
If you follow at Xbox on Reddit on Twitter, we've got some game codes we just gave a Sifu game code away. Is that how you say it? Sifu?
Sifu. That's how I've always done it.
Sifu.
You know,
And we currently have a Ghostwire Tokyo Deluxe Edition.
Deluxe Edition, yeah, that's available. It's region free.
Yeah.
You can play that on PC or Xbox, so that's the good thing about that one. We have 8 controllers being given away.
8 controllers, yeah.
That's a lot of controllers, man.
That's yeah, they were very generous.
Yeah, so if you're Hyperkin had dropped by, they wanted to spread the word about their Xenon controllers. These are Xbox 360 inspired controllers. They come in black, red, white, and pink. Off the top of my head, man, that's pretty good.
That's right.
If you want to pre-order them, they're available for pre-order now. I think they come out in just a few days. We've had people post these to the community over the last few months because development word got out, and they're really excited for them. Some people really love that form factor where the top of the controller curves in a little bit more and your fingers kind of wrap around more. It's kind of a well-liked thing. So sorry about my camera jumping around today. I've noticed there's been some flakes, but I don't think anybody's really going to be that upset about it. So anyways, if you would like to enter that contest, you can drop by our Xbox Series X community. Like I said, with 8 of them out there, that will give you a pretty good chance of winning one. All they ask is that you leave a reply or a comment on their AMA. And they were one of the best AMA participants we've ever had, too. I should give them a kudos. They had 4 people here, and they were answering questions like mad. Reddit melted down once it started. No comments were appearing, and they just kept going at it for hours and hours. We had to manually approve every single comment, but we didn't even care. We're very thankful for that promotion. So maybe Anthony cared a little. It was like 3 a.m. He's like, dudes.
Well, we've got... yeah, it's like
he's like, I got to get to bed. They're still going.
We've had, I think it's one of the most successful AMAs that I've seen. 1.2 thousand comments in total, and they pretty much replied to everyone.
Yeah,
it's like it's just hardcore. Like,
yeah, the participation is off the charts. We arrange these, and sometimes they'll come in for an hour and they'll be gone. No, these guys were there all night. You can tell they're very dedicated and very passionate about what they're making. They even answer the hard questions. They're like, "Hey, why aren't these wireless?" You know, they maybe threw a little shade at Xbox. It wasn't really shade, but they're just like, Xbox doesn't allow that. They're like, there's a whole conversation to be had about why Xbox uses proprietary wireless technology, and we can probably hit that one a little later too.
that was the main criticism really I saw, that people were just saying, "Oh, I'd get this if it was wired."
Yeah.
If it was wireless.
So just to touch on that a little bit, if you don't know, I think Anthony actually asked or replied to them in here, and I kind of followed up too. Yeah, and so there's a couple reasons here, and one of them, the reasons is they want to cut down on spoofing. So if you can just hook up any mouse, keyboard, controller, that type of thing, having proprietary technology it makes it harder to do that anyway. Obviously, there's still a lot of accessories that allow you to maybe mouse and keyboard or aim hack, that kind of stuff, but it was supposed to be kind of a counter to that, but I think we all know the real reason is money. When you have proprietary technology, you can license it out, so you can take a cut of every single accessory that's sold that uses that technology. We did see that Hyperkin have been talking with Xbox about maybe reaching a wireless solution for maybe some of their future projects. Something else I asked that was kind of exciting is about maybe like Rock Band peripherals. Some of these older games where you can't get the accessories anymore, they were asking if they would make third-party versions of those, and they said that's something they're actively exploring. So props to Hyperkin. They seem to be a pretty good company and a good group of people over there.
It blows my mind that a Rock Band, so how prolific Rock Band and Guitar Hero was, and yet now you can't get the peripherals, or if you do, it's super expensive. There must be billions of them like made worldwide, and it just blows
Right.
my mind that you can't pick them up in a
No, we
cheaply.
left them in the garage for a while, and eventually they just kind of got shipped out in a
Right.
garage sale or something. But now you go on eBay and you see the complete sets are selling for like $1,000, and it's just like, whoa.
Insane.
Yeah, I should have bought like 100 of those. I'd be rich. What was I thinking? Just kidding. So we've closed out the news. This is usually the time of the show where we go around and just ask about plans for next week, what you might be playing, what you might be doing. He looks like he's in
Next
thoughts.
week, I'm just looking at my game. I'll probably try and finish Planet of Lana.
Good.
And then other than that, I have no plans. Anything that I can jump on. Yeah, I'll try and get Diablo. I'll see if I can pick it up this launch.
If you do buy the big Diggy version, you get. I think you can play on Thursday. Was when that begins.
Okay.
So, if not, you'll be just fine. I know the FOMO is strong. Believe me, I definitely get that. Especially when it's one of those games that everybody's talking about. I just resisted Zelda for the time being.
Yeah, me
we'll
too.
see if I can make it another week. But the only thing keeping me out of it is knowing that Diablo, Final Fantasy 16, and Starfield are all right around the corner here. That's a lot of game. It's a lot to get through. So Starfield especially and Diablo seem like they could be endless. So
Diablo, because I got through to Zelda finally. You know what I mean? Like I
did you do it?
Yeah, I was like, I have to do this before Diablo comes
it's a
out.
good plan.
Yeah, I was a little early.
Didn't you say you had 40 shrines to get to?
Yeah, 40 shrines left, and I had beat Ganon. That was basically it, and I did that. I mean, there's probably some side quests I can do where it's like, oh wow, look at this, quirky side quest, and here's a piece of clothing. But like, I did the main stuff. Okay, I'll get to that later.
Oh
But,
wow,
like,
look at this quirky side quest, and here's a piece of clothing. I love it.
But like, I wanted to get to Diablo, and like that's on the first, right, because of the early access, and then on the second is Street Fighter 6. So I'm already, pretty much loaded until Final Fantasy 16 comes out, which I'm also very excited for. But like June is already just, wow, I can't. You know what I mean? Who knew I would be playing the same games from 20 years ago, basically Diablo, Street Fighter, and Final Fantasy.
What do you think of the Street Fighter 6 art style in the new?
Oh, I love it. I hated the way 5 looked. Everyone looked really gross. I usually play Vega, who's all about beauty, and I'm like, you don't look beautiful at all.
Vega, wow.
Yeah, but now I play Jury because Vega's out. Like this storyline, he's not in it, so I'm playing as Jury now. That's my main for now, and we'll see how that goes.
That's good. That's good. So
I'm going to be on Diablo, aren't you, for like the next 12 months or more?
Yeah.
Diablo's a very dangerous game.
Every week, like, what you play, and everyone's just going to go Diablo.
Diablo talks, right? No, like I said, Starfield is definitely a threat to Diablo, and I think long term, I think Diablo is probably the game that sticks. Like the game that we're going to be playing maybe in 3 or 4 years, people will be coming back to Diablo. Starfield is obviously more of a single player experience, although with Bethesda games, we know that you can endlessly play. I could go play Skyrim right now for the 80th time. I'm good, it's and I'd still have fun with it. So that's how they work. Final Fantasy, that feels like a playthrough, and I probably won't go back to it. That depends. I don't know how deep the side quest and get a piece of clothing quest are, but we'll see how that goes. And then, games have longevity, and I think Diablo definitely has the chance to keep coming up on this show for a long time to come. Especially
I was gonna say in Bethesda, they're known for their DLCs. I mean, so if Starfield comes with a DLC, it'd probably be like a Shivering Isles type of experience,
What a cash cow! What a potential cash cow for Microsoft with that kind of stuff. So, for myself this week, I think I can only get through Final Fantasy 4. I think 3 and 5 and 6 will have to wait until after Diablo, sometime later this year. Yes. No, I'm gonna get through them all. I will. This is like I have to. It's such a meaningful thing to me, but it's a slow grind for me. You're getting all the chest, and you have to do completionist.
So
runs.
Are you working through all? Sorry, I've missed this. Are you working through all the Final Fantasies? Are you going through like?
I'm on the Pixel remaster. I've got. I've beaten them all. There is an achievement on Xbox I don't have for Final Fantasy VII where you have to. It's a weird one. It has to do with conversation choices. You have to go on a date with Barrett in the middle of the game, and you don't know if you're doing okay. Like you can follow guides, and they're like, say yes here, say no here, and you don't know. There's no score or anything. So you get to the event, and if you did everything right, hopefully you end up going on a date with Barrett. It's kind of like it's called like a bros night out or something. But I did that once. I beat the game. I went through and replayed it for that achievement. It did not work, and then I was like,
Oh man.
980 out of 1,000. That's great. Yep, that's a good game. So, I don't know if I'll ever go back to get that one, but I am going to complete the first 6. So, just really impactful games for me. So, someday hopefully they'll make it to Xbox. I will play them again. I'll be happy to do it if they make it over to Xbox because again, the music, like, there's just a lot in those games that is very nostalgic for me. I can listen to that music forever. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm gonna turn around and fire up some Overwatch and probably enjoy the rest of my night here. If you're in the U.S., hopefully you had a great holiday weekend. Maybe we made your car drive a little bit better, or wherever you're finding us and listening, and it made it less anguishing at least. Next week we will be rejoined by Kevin and Mikey, I believe. It sounds like Anthony will not be here next week. He's given the no. If Kevin was here, he could sad trombone us. Sad trombone. But Anthony will be back the following week with us for the big Xbox show.
We have Kevin and Mikey on the show floor.
We're very excited to announce. Yeah, last year we had Kevin who was able to live stream some of the content with us. They kind of tone it back during the show. They don't want people being like super media. I'm just here for content kind of thing. They want people there for the games, but I think we'll get some good takes from those guys, and they can take us for a little tour. Kevin can pull his camera up again and say hi to people. Maybe we'll see Phil standing in the corner greeting fans. But we're excited to be able to bring that to you. We're gonna do our best, our amateur best, to bring you all of the coverage that day of all the news and hopefully the big games that are announced. So, that's it.
Done.
Yeah, no, I thought there was some kind of sign-off or thing, but no, I don't think I have like a sign-off. Kevin likes to say happy gaming, so happy gaming, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one, everyone.
Take care.
You